This week on Breaking Bullying, my guest shares how a simple business opportunity turned into a nightmare of betrayal and online harassment. We'll get into it after I hit this music. Joining me this week is Specialist Counselor Trent Hansen. Trent, thank you so much for coming on today.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's kind of late where I am, but it's also kind of early where you are. So, as you can tell by my accent, I'm all the way from Australia. So, I'm excited to be here.
You're from the future, I like to call it, because I'm recording on a Tuesday and it's already a Wednesday for you.
Yeah, that's right. I just clicked over 1 a.m. here.
That's crazy. It's 10 a.m. here in Minnesota time. So, Trent, before we get into your story, what is a specialist counselor?
I'm not really big into titles, but for me, a specialist counselor is we deal with different niches. So, before we move into our story in relation to why I'm here, I've been doing this a very long time, 18 years across 5 or 6 different modalities. I started in fitness, I progressed into body work, and then after a pretty nasty marriage breakdown in 2015, I turned into the psychology element because, hey, let's face it, there's usually one ingredient that's common in all your issues, and that is the person that's suffering. So I'm a bit of an extreme responsibility guy. So anytime I make errors or uh, mistakes or whatever it might be, I usually like to learn about it and then help people with it. That's kind of my philosophy. So I've been doing this a
Okay.
long time, apart from a 2.5 year break, which is in that 2.5 years. That's why I'm here to talk. So
Yeah. So, we're talking about in this episode a whole different profession because you are in the construction industry, building sheds, correct?
well, I don't know if that's correct. In a nutshell, we had an opportunity through a friend after I had enough of helping people with all their problems, right? I needed a break, and he launched this new business, and I could talk to people and I understand people, and I didn't mind selling things. So he gifted me a franchise in the construction industry. Now, I'm not trade qualified. Like I said, I understand business and I understand people. So my next challenge to solve after I got into it was finding the ideal technical guy, which I did pretty quickly. So it was a rapid rise. It happened pretty easy, but it turned out to be probably the worst 2.5 years of my life. So yeah, that's kind of how it started for me.
Okay. So, did you have any type of construction background at all, or were you kind of solely relying on your employees to?
We were pretty hands off. My wife and I were
Okay.
involved, and she's very, very clever when it comes to marketing, digital content, and I'm I love to learn. I picked up the sales and the design process pretty easy, and it was just a case of numbers game, call, and go out and visit people and love on people, and we started to get some success in selling pretty quickly. So um, from that side of our front end delivery was really good, but as far as who I brought in, and it started very, very quickly to become a nightmare.
Okay. And what year did this all start in?
It started at the back end of COVID. So it was 2022. We started January 2022. I started to sell at the end of 2021, but we actually got licensed and we were ready to go at the end of January 2022.
Okay. So, I've seen the news report. And if you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast platform, I'll put the YouTube link of the news story in the description. But tell us what happened that kind of made you look like the bad guy in all of this.
Well, where we live and where we were based, we lost on average up to 100 days with bad weather. So lots of rain. It was heavy rain. So we had that. Plus there was a lot of material volatility, like the prices were going up. There was constant price increases, and um, there was just a massive amount of demand, labor shortages. So we had all that element going on in the background. People, very unqualified people, were getting paid exorbitant amounts of money. So all those pressures mixed into what I started to see was a person that claimed they knew everything about construction were causing non-stop delays, like 4-day projects would blow out to 2 weeks. And every day we were over, it was costing us on average 3,000 AUD, which is probably about 16 to $1,800 USD per day. And we started with a little bit of money, but we weren't um, rolling in it, dare I say. And basically, what happened over a 2.5 year period is we ran out of money. And the more projects that I sold, it actually we traded ourselves into liquidation. We simply the construction management was so bad and things weren't being done um, properly. As I started to investigate that, I found out very very quickly we were in the hole, and we had to make some hurried decisions. So while I was figuring things out over an 18-month period, what started to go on from this guy that I brought in was I started to figure out this guy had a pretty gnarly drug addiction, and he was very, very abusive and very reactive.
Okay.
So it went from being a great relationship to a very nasty and abusive relationship very, very, very quickly. And like I'm a big guy, I'm 6'3". This guy's like 5 foot nothing, and I felt very disempowered by this human. I was overpowered, or I felt very small around him, and it was constant. It was constant. It was a constant overlay of everything was my fault and everything was my problem, even though I wasn't the technical guy. So yeah, it was a terrible relationship.
So this guy was pretty much responsible for that business, that shed business going underground, like tanking.
Yeah, so everything technical, everything from the back end, everything construction, which was the majority of the business. He was actually the general manager, construction manager.
Yeah. So was he already an employee when you took over that business, or did you hire him?
So I hired him with a
Okay.
profit share agreement to build it because we're actually a blended family of 7 children. With 7 children, me and my second wife. So we uh, we had obligations, commitments like anyone else with big families. I was relying on him and his wife, who was a part of it as well, to actually manage the whole process beyond the selling and the marketing. And unfortunately, they were as bad as each other. So
Yeah.
so it was interesting. It was it was terrible because she had a lot of the same philosophies.
So you told me earlier that this was like a hands-off business for you. And if people are wondering, when you sent me your story, I have a student in my school whose father is a forensic accountant. And I asked him, I go, how common is it for an owner of a business not to know everything that's going on in his company? And he told me it's very, very common. So I was like, okay, good. That makes me feel better because I didn't really understand. I don't understand the construction business because in my own business, I'm very, I own it. I'm owner and operator. I'm everything. So I didn't fully understand the whole scope. So it's very common for people to own a construction business or any business and not be fully integrated inside it because you hire people that you trust. But kind of fast forwarding here, when the business went under, is to me, when I saw the news story, you went on a vacation around the same time that happened, and it just made you look like the bad guy in this whole thing.
What's funny thing about that is, Tim, you're going to laugh. My wife has a bit of a warped sense of humor. At the time, we had a pretty newborn baby, and she was pregnant. I didn't have a valid passport, and because she's very handy with digital imagery, and we spent 6 months being harassed, and that's before we went, before we signed paperwork. We started to get a lot of threats online and a lot of abuse, and she thought, well, I'll just put this up and just throw like the bait out to see who was behind all these threats and things like that. And it was probably the thing that like A Current Affair Over Here is a terrible show. It's a low, like it's, I guess you say the bottom feeders, like, I don't know, like how you'd put it, but it is whatever the narrative is of that demographic. Like I presented 50 pages of evidence, and I can talk about that what it was, and they were not interested. They only wanted to pay us out as we'd stolen money and we were high flying and we were using deposits and whatever else to live a lifestyle. But the truth was, I lost machinery, cars. I didn't even have a car to drive around in. We had to move out of a house. Um, and it actually started to unravel when I let these people go November the year before because we were just in very deep. And so what they did when we severed the relationship, they then went to our customers, suppliers, um, whoever they could, because they had access to everything for the longest time, and paint the picture out that we were stealing money, doing the wrong thing, and that without them in the business, it would fall over. So we lost complete trust. Facebook groups were created. Um, it was horrible. It was really horrible.
Okay, so that picture that they showed on A Current Affair, that wasn't me, that was just staged, you didn't really go on vacation, but they just used it anyways?
Yep, used it anyway. We had evidence. I told them that. They also showed me talking about this pen I got in 2018, which was like a $500 or $600 pen. I was given as a gift, and I made comment on a TikTok that I lost my $600 pen, and the kids took it and they took it out of context. It was a video from 2018. They were grabbing whatever they could at that time. So, or was it 2020 or whatever it was? But they were grabbing whatever they could to control the narrative. So in Australia, we had 28 construction companies go into liquidation in an 18-month period at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been big news. Like it's
Yeah.
been huge news. People going under all the time, and unfortunately, like if theories state, like it's superannuation led, which is our retirement fund led, it's bank led, it's so volatile over here and it's so expensive. Um, I will never do construction again. I've learnt my lesson. The biggest part and why we're here to talk about is just I presented, like we have police cases out around customers and former team with over 440 pieces of harassment evidence. Like it's been a crazy 18 months since or well, yeah, 18 months since we went under.
Did the harassment start from a single person and spread, or did it come from a group, like, just a bunch of random people all at once? How did this all start, and how did Current Affair get a hold of this story?
It started our client. So basically, this guy had went to pour a slab for a client, and basically didn't ask for an engineering report that he needed. He just took the client's word for it, and the slab started to fall apart and crack. And I also had researched since that about 30 to 35 concrete slabs weren't didn't follow the engineering. So there's like bar and Rio missing from key componentry. So I discovered all this, and then when this basically this slab started to fall apart, he became even more abusive, and that's when we sort of let him go. And I had to start finding solutions. These people weren't happy with our solutions in our office, so they went into a group with 15, 20,000 people in it for sheds and construction to ask if anyone had dealt with us. And we were struggling with delays, we were struggling with materials, and then a dozen people got together. The face group was started, and then the main harassment guy who was a client who lost some money. He's been the driving force behind this group, and the guy that we have a pretty extensive police case and defamation case started because the level of lies and information out in Facebook land. You only have to research this guy's name, and like I'd happily show anyone the Dropbox. Doesn't matter, but it's been horrific. So it started with one post and then spread, and then our former team members got involved, and then it has just some of the lies that have been told are If I wasn't so stressed at the time with what was going on with our son, with his heart condition, I probably would be using it as comedy because
Yeah.
some of the stories are so out there. But um, yeah, it was pretty full on.
Yeah. Facebook groups are the worst. We have one Facebook group that's pretty well known in my town that, if you wanna trash somebody, this is the group to go to. So I won't say the name of the group, but people who listen in my area, you know what group I'm talking about. But um, it's horrible. Anybody reach out for, like, your side of the story to see what
Um,
actually happened?
the one reporter, her name's Chloe. She would ring the afternoon before putting the Courier Mail stuff out and or the main newspaper stuff out, and which we were pretty viral there for a little while. And we were a small um, liquidation numbers wise. But she would message me and I'd present the evidence and on 4 or 5 articles like an hour before they were printing, can you reply? And in the end, I actually had to, um, after a couple of months of articles that were false and defamatory, I actually rang an editor and used my big dad voice and said, I'm about to come to your doorstep. This is now affecting my wife because she was getting threats like it was I don't even know if I can repeat some of the stuff like I hope your baby dies. She was heavily pregnant with a baby with heart condition and like let's really kill your baby, have enjoy having your baby in jail. Your like I even had people from my past reach out and say one of my best friend who took his own life a few years ago that I was responsible for the suicide. Like it was like people are in so much pain for whatever reason they took our story in the
Yeah.
end, they just ran with it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's pretty familiar from one of my guests who was on called "We're Watching You." There was people talking bad about her kids as well, who had nothing to do with what she was going through. Like, why do people attack kids? Um, what was like the main like rumor that was going around about you guys?
we were that we basically absconded with $2.2 million. We were driving the construction process, the whole thing in the back end, and every delay, every basically if it what could and went wrong with this company was on my wife, who had really nothing to do with it apart from Facebook ads, and me, who was nothing to do with the technical and the project delivery. So we were just a scapegoat. No matter how much we communicated about it to present the evidence, no one was interested.
What about your project manager? Did he get any blame from people on this, or did it all just go right to you?
No, went straight to me. Like they were pretty cunning, and it was mainly his wife. She spent hours. Like I got phone calls from friends saying she's rang me and this sort of stuff, and we just kind of tried to ignore it until it got very loud. And the common theme was anyone I was involved with, I need to like minimize the damage towards me. And so what they did was even John at the end of it, what they don't say is in December, that guy who was my nominee supervisor, we couldn't operate without it, said, I've got a $10,000 debt that needs to be sorted. It's going to affect my credit rating. Then you can't operate, which is all the projects we had lined up. And he told me it was for a debt. I just believed it for an account that he hadn't paid from his
Mhm.
previous company. It was actually a cocaine debt. And I've got the SMS because I had some mental health issues following March. When I found out how bad it was, I made a dumb decision, which I'm happy to talk about. But I got evidence to say that I helped him out through a drug debt and all sorts of stuff. So we were constantly trying to support our team, um, and we were completely naive. And I wasn't listening to the one person I needed to listen to, which is my wife, because I wanted to make sure that everyone was okay and everyone was happy, and 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 I was focused on completely the wrong thing.
So, did the guy who was doing the cocaine, did that story eventually come out to kind of help clear the air on your part? Or did he face any repercussions for your business?
No, it just was just in the liquidator's report that he owes money. So we made a journal in our accounting system, and I'd started to introduce a better accountant. And these accountants in the year that we closed, actually were the ones I actually went through 4 accountants to find. These guys are forensic, they're construction based, it took me ages to find the right people. I had multiple bookkeepers, I had people managing the money, I had, like, people paying the bills. Like, we weren't even touching the money. I wasn't even it was slow with reporting. Like, the thing that you have to watch in this country is, and part of the reason I wanna relocate, and is that the tax system, we are the most taxed, country in the world. So if you look at what $1 million is net over here is 568,000 in your pocket. I don't know another country that hands over that level of money. Um, so there's a lot of complexity to our system, um, and I don't know who the genius is behind it, but ultimately, yeah, you have a lot of layers of people helping you because of how complex things can be to run over here, and especially in construction.
Yeah. Before I talk about how you overcame all of this, did you experience any like people stalking you, tracking you down? Say, tell us about that and how that's feeling.
So we had people driving past and watching us, our whereabouts, from the very start. So one of our projects was across the road from my house, and we got halfway through it and missed a stage, and so we couldn't work. Like, we handed the keys over, and then what was happening is they were filtering messages to the Facebook group to say when we were leaving, when we were coming, where we were going. So that was being done. We've got SMS evidence around that. There was lots of things about, we're driving past your house, we're going to burn it down. There was video of our house where we are near the hospital that we go to, that we spent 5 months in with our son. So I'm holding my son, and he's got a feeding tube, and he's videoing me going past, laughing at me, this main guy. And I've got my son in my arms, and this is over a year on. So the main culprit is driving past our house, is basically spending all his life, all his
Yeah,
time, letting people know where we are. And the really hard thing about this, our kids were parentally kidnapped because my two stepchildren, my wife's children, their father got involved because he's not a nice human. So we lost our access to our kids for 6 weeks. He didn't return them. Like, and then telling them that we're criminals, we're frauds, we're going to jail. So not only were we dealing with open heart surgery, harassment, stalking, we had this guy filtering our personal information from a court case that we're going through for our children to this group, and he's going, they live here, there it is, there's video, like, watch yourself, watch your back, someone's gonna kill you, like, on social media.
that's
So,
crazy.
um, it's been full on.
But what's silly about this, or I say it's silly, but what blows my mind is that these are adults. I mean, would we want our kids treating another kid this way? No. These are grown adults. Any did you like give like a statement? Did anyone come ask you for a statement for your side of the story? And did they accept it or did it make things worse?
Nothing. We weren't offered to communicate about it. We had to fill out recordings from the legal side for the administration, but we presented. You're actually the second person. And I had to go overseas because the first person that interviewed me got threatened by a couple of people if my podcast goes live, but I found it anyway. They're going
Yeah.
to sue them and all this stuff. Even though I didn't really talk about it, it was more about who was serving now, and how to come back, which we've done. And I wouldn't be afraid of these guys. Like, once my podcast comes out, it's like, good luck from Australia. So,
Yeah, right.
I because we're shifting our focus, and we because the one question I asked, even through this, so the question that I asked myself was, when I'm curled up in the corner, I'm in a ball, I've just made a really terrible decision that I'm recovering from, which was, drink driving and wanting to take my life, which I actually got found by someone. This was in March last year. I'm curled up in the corner. I've signed paperwork over. I can't feed my family. And the question I asked myself, which is I ask myself every day, which is, what will bring me joy? And I got two answers: children's storybooks and start serving humanity. So I just started to rebuild, because of I used this to refine myself. I didn't use it to define myself. And mentally, it was the toughest challenge. And I've been to the US and competed in lots of endurance events and traveled around the world, and I've got a pretty handy. Um, I've been in the Hurt Locker, but this mental and emotional cyber
Hmm.
harassment and bullying that I experienced, like it has changed me and my life. Like it has changed who we are. And
Yeah.
18 months later, we're still recovering.
So you kind of jumped ahead to my next question here, which would be how did this all affect you mentally? So you turned to alcohol. Is that correct? Is that what you said?
I made a decision when I figured out what was going on, turned to alcohol, and that was once. I haven't drank since. That was enough pain for me. And
Yeah.
then my uh, my wife, Kat, she lost complete trust in me because I let people affect our stability. I didn't listen to her, so she started to pull apart all the times that I didn't listen to her. Um, I nearly lost her. We were so close to not moving forward with our unborn baby because we'd lost our financial stability and we had a diagnosis of a heart condition at the same time. At the week that we found out we had to close everything, we found out that our son had complex heart disease, which um, has been a journey. Plus, we found out a week later that he had a rare genetic disorder, which has been a journey.
That's a
And
that's a
plus, we
lot
had to move out of
itself.
our house. We had to we had to I had to figure out how to get money to feed the family. I had to move 2 hours down the road to be near the hospital. So, like, I had enough demand and, like, things that I could focus on. I shut down my social media, but what my wife did, which really affected her emotionally, was she kept her socials up so she could gain evidence to take to police and build a defamation case. But what it's done to her is it's shattered, like, she's suffering, like, it's brought out she's got diagnosed heading towards a diagnosis of ADHD, which is fine, but she's now on antidepressants and a few other things just to help her refocus and not get lost and minimize the reactivity. So we're a pretty neurodivergent house and,
Yeah.
just brought it out in her.
I wish people would realize the harm that this type of stuff does. I remember, what's it been like a year or so ago? Year ago, gosh, was this last year? When my friend and I got attacked for a school board, it could be like 100 people coming after you. But it feels like the whole world because these people, they just don't stop posting about it. And they do it because they get attention from other people. It makes them feel good. At the same time, they don't care about what you're going through. And at the end of the day, these are adults trying to cause harm purposely to another human being, and they don't care what it is. It blows my mind. There's another group in town here that has a group that I swear encourages this type of stuff. They love it. They'll call themselves like the uncensored group, and they don't understand that the harm you are doing to somebody. It could even if it's a small business or any type of business, these people just don't stop. And to the point where it led you, curled up.
I was curled up in a ball. I was afraid, I was terrified, so I was unraveling from the face-to-face harassment and bullying I got from this. For me, I laugh about it because he was threatening my wife and I got, he was threatening her, like, he was actually threatening her physically and emotionally and enabled by his wife. So like, I literally couldn't do anything. Like, I couldn't do
Yeah,
anything. Like, we reported the police. Like I said, I'm a big guy. I know how to handle myself. I spent quite a few years being mentored by one of your insane
yeah,
athletes who's the world's fittest man, believe it or not. Not CrossFit, but in endurance. So I spent a few years like having fun with Marines and SEALs and like guys who served and I'd really enjoyed my time in your country and I took on some philosophies and I brought it back here and like I could look after myself and I couldn't take my skill set and my strength and everything to actually go and sort this out myself. Like, I would
Yeah.
have loved to have taken this into my own hands, because these are all like they, these are very weak humans. Like,
Yeah.
these are, if I saw them now, I just would laugh. But we had to adopt silence. We had to just
Yeah.
bide our time, take every comment on the chin, and the only person my wife had was me, so I wasn't. She didn't like me for a long time. She, I slept on the couch for many nights. Um,
Yeah.
but we didn't quit, to our credit, and if anything, it has made us stronger. We will never. I don't think anything could break us. Um, and yeah, it's imperfect, but we just created our own rules moving forward, and
Yeah.
it was and to our credit, we like her e-commerce business was taken out because there was
Wow.
a structure element associated with the construction company where a financial structure wasn't set up properly, and it was linked to what the administration. So that business got taken out as well. The business that she built, the business that, so it was taken out. So also too, I had a domestic violence housing charity which we were moving towards, right? We were
Yeah.
moving into. So I launched it, and we were going to start using, if there was profit, to build shed homes or shomes or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, to help, because there's a housing crisis over here like there is probably everywhere. So we had some really good intent behind this, and it all got shut down.
Crazy. When you're getting information for a defamation case, was there like, I know I asked this question earlier, but I'll ask it again. Was there like a was there like one main person that was kind of behind the bullying?
Yes, one, and but there's a very big. We're just gathering more evidence. We're timing it right. So once we get the police charges laid, then the defamation will be laid,
Yeah.
and then we'll come at it. And the goal was to share what our process was, to give to
Did
people who to give to people, to say, if this happens to you, here's our people, here's our process, here's the steps, here's the mindset tools, have it. Because there's no help. There's no help for it.
did this DLP, I'll just call it DLP for short. Was this person also featured on A Current Affair as well? Was he part of the feature? Because you know what's funny about that? When my friend got attacked on the school board, when it made the paper, it went to the person who started this whole mess, in the paper as well. It's like, oh, look, you're such the hero in this whole business. It's just interesting how that works. It's like these people crave attention and they just find an easy way to get some attention. And it's
Yep.
interesting how your
We gotta,
story relates. It's almost the same as my other guest's story a
yeah.
few episodes ago. It's like if you listen to the We're Watching You episode, um, your guys' stories are kind of how the bullying happened and what went on are almost identical, just from a different part of the world.
It's crazy because a month ago, uh, my wife got a plea saying we want justice for the money that we lost, we invested. Meanwhile, all these projects are insured, right? So
Yep.
we have to put an insurance on every project. That's why there's no fraud. Every project was insured, and
Yeah.
everything's traced electronically. So, I think in the creditor report, I think over 2.5 years, I paid myself about $20,000.
Nothing.
That says on the creditors report. They actually asked for me to return it. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And a month ago, this guy messages saying we want justice for our money. We're appealing to your lighter side. Oh,
Justice
but
for
if
our
you
money.
don't pay us, then someone's going to hurt you. And we just like didn't reply, and like threatening us, as well as like trying to appeal to our softer side and
Yeah.
empathy, and this, and then we just thank you for the evidence, off to the police. So
So
it's it now it's comical, but it's taken
it
us a
is.
long time to get to this place.
Yeah. How did you get to this place now? What you're doing now with your counseling? How'd you get there?
Well, the one thing we used to do back when we were in this space, so in help, the service of people, whatever the problem we were working with at the time, was when Facebook Lives were popular, we would go live and tell everyone how great we were, and we'd bring clients in, and we had groups and whatever. We did it kind of that way. And then when I because there's 10 different types of trauma we work with, and one is vicarious trauma. When you work intensively with people for a long period of time, you can carry a lot of physiological and psychological residual stuff. All right.
Yeah.
So when I went back into it, I took what I learned from that experience into this experience and said everything I'm going to do is about being great for people. I'm not going to rush anything. I'm going to build one person at a time. I'm going to make sure that whoever I'm in front of gets the best of me. I don't have social media. That's been shut down. I haven't needed it. So our little team that we're starting to build, they take care of it. I don't need it. It's been the most refreshing thing. My I do not have a social media account. So I had to learn how, because we were harassed online, I had
Yeah.
to learn how to build with no social media, no website, no digital presence, no following because it was shut down for 2.5 years, harassment going on, and I figured it out. So
Yeah.
I was able to build client after client, and then my business partner came in. He's an old mate of mine, and he's like, "Right, what's your vision?" I said, "This." He goes, "Right, we're going to build it. I'm going to." He then invested in what I was doing, and we've been over the last 18 months. We're about to sign some documents that gets us to launch our global stuff with what we work in, and we're going to base ourselves over in Dubai and Spain, and hopefully get known in the
Okay.
US if
Yeah.
people love the way we present and how we help. So I think we're focusing. I think what we're just focusing on being great for people and letting the results organically appear. So
Yeah.
I've
I
had
like that.
the lesson of patience for the last couple of years. The lesson of I really had to understand emotional intelligence at another level, how to regulate, which we've got. And also, so what I did was just create processes that people can
Yeah.
use, whether it's trauma, anxiety, depression. We niche down in domestic relationships and things like that. We target relationships and who we work with because that's always interesting. A multitude of problems in personal relationships, and we started to get some harassment and bullying people in because we're open about it. So if
Yeah.
you Google me, you'll see negative, negative, negative. So I talk about, I just own it. I'm like, yep, we
Yeah.
invested in the wrong people, we invested in the wrong industry, and we got hammered.
Yeah.
So I took ownership pretty quickly.
Yeah. I don't know if I would give up social media. I mean, because social media is your right. It's how you can grow your new businesses. And those people who talk bad about you, I mean, they have nothing better to do. Their lives are miserable. That's why they keep coming after you. They have nothing better to do. They have a miserable life. That's how they feel better. Um, but I think leaving social media is showing like, to them, they feel like they won. Where if go up there, yeah, I'm not going to social media for that. I mean, people said stuff about me on an app that I don't even use, and I know about that. Time people ask me about it, and I'm like, I don't even have that app. Who cares? I
Well,
don't
the beautiful
care.
thing about what this decision was for me is we're creating a platform and
Okay.
a different formula. So for me, I didn't want it to be about me. I needed it to be about the recruitment, the tools, the modules. We're working in it manually. We've got a small team. We use Google, the different types of Google advertising, and
Yeah.
we haven't needed it. So for us, that's
Okay.
been a blessing. But yeah, we're going to have to build our from scratch our brand and our profile, but it's going to be with many people inside it.
Yeah.
So um, and we're also in the early stages, which I'd love to have you on, Tim, as well. That we're triple B potty, we call it. So in Australia, we like to use slang and everything's
Yeah.
abbreviated. So it'll be called the triple B potty. It's about people who've been beaten, bullied, and betrayed.
Yeah.
And then their stories, and also too, talking to anyone that caused pain as well. So I don't condemn what people do or create
Yep.
because it's all part of the experience. And I'm a big fan of humans that go, yeah, I was a real so and so and I caused pain and I'm ready to work through it. So when we deal in the betrayal side and the harassment from betrayal, like people causing affairs and people doing the wrong thing by their partner, a lot of the stuff we work in is dealing with the harassment and the bullying and the control
Yeah.
aspects behind that. So it's not necessarily in the scale that I went through, or even I was listening to a YouTube sensation that you interviewed, and she was the vegan villain. I was
Oh,
listening to
yeah.
that.
Yeah, Star
Yeah, so I
Stone.
listened
Yeah.
to that, and I thought, "Oh, poor girl." And you were talking about, like, transparency, and you were talking about if you had have known. So we we go through small scale stuff where families take sides, and there's a lot of, like, SMSing, and so the bullying and the harassment that I deal with on a small scale is usually, like, family members
Yeah.
or friends choosing sides. So, yes, the big stuff that we went through, but also too with the domestic violence is huge here. It's probably huge there as well. So with this stuff that I deal with, there's a lot of bullying and harassment. Um, it's in a small scale, especially. It's
Yeah.
pretty bad.
Yeah, I'd love to help you out with anything, just let me know. Um, Before we get going here, do you have any advice for people who maybe be the target of online attacks and harassment?
Yeah, absolutely. If if I live in a state called Queensland, which is like the northeast, I guess you'd say. If I lived in the southern states, they would have had these people locked up. So depending on where you live, and depending on their laws and things like that, get all evidence. So they've just released the e-cyber commission in Australia in the last 6 to 8 months. They're a lot more productive because people are taking their own lives. There's so much of it being reported and recorded. So to actually get to the police, you've got to go through this commission. So document everything, evidence, evidence, evidence. If you've got some resource, get lawyers involved. The thing that
Yeah,
slowed it down to just these two people was we sent 8 or 9 defamation letters out to act as a deterrent. Okay, so that was a
yeah,
deterrent. We couldn't, I don't think we could have won anything, but we sent 8 or 9 out and they shut up. And we've sent a couple out since, cease and assist. So we did that. And then from a recovery point of view, quality questions every single day that are not why does this happen? Why do they do this? Stay away from the why questions. So when you're talking about, like, so your listeners out there, if they went into Google right now and typed in why is my life so bad question mark versus what do I need to do to live a great life question mark, the answers are totally different. So
yeah,
when you're asking really great questions to your conscious brain that potentially could change the answers that you're giving yourself, and then sitting with those answers and then using that as daily inspiration. So we balance out our experiences every day, whether it's positive or negative. So we don't try to get too high and we don't try to get too low.
yeah,
So we try to hang out in the middle. So, and just good self-talk. I was every day like one step at a time, one step at a time. It's not time to have a rest. Keep going. And then ultimately eating well, drinking water, not drinking alcohol, um, remembering what's important to you, your core fundamental values. Like, our kids are sacred. My parents are great support. My mother-in-law, I have a great mother-in-law. She was there from moment one through this. So I've been blessed with an awesome mother-in-law. 2 or 3 good friends that were there, and I just blocked the rest of the world out until
yeah,
I could figure out the steps forward, and we did. But unfortunately, my partner, she caught the brunt of the social media abuse after I shut everything down
yeah.
and got on with it. So
Because she had to go look
I,
for all the evidence.
yeah, well, she was copying it. She was out in the face, and she was still putting videos and reels out there to share the journey, not the harassment, but like what she was going through with her business. So she's been super courageous there. Like, she's an inspiration to me. And now she's come out the other side. She's launched her own podcast, I think, called Holding the Mother. So,
Okay.
like, real and raw conversations for postnatal depression, postnatal stuff, pregnancy, difficult, like, babies with high needs babies, ADHD and women, like, and she's just launched it. So for her, this has actually led her to go after what she truly wants instead of waiting for it to be a perfect time because she's a
Yeah,
perfectionist. So I just think, like, what give for me the question to take this question on board is what will bring you joy, and don't focus on money. Just what will bring you joy, and let's see what answers fly.
love it. Trent, if people want to get a hold of you, how can they do that? Where can they find you?
Our website is well, we're Psychology in Your Pocket. So and it's PIYP, so it's www.piyp.com.au. We have a contact form there. We do have Instagram and we also have TikTok, I believe, but we're starting to put some things out there, our team, so you can get us on those platforms. And it's Pip Daily. And we send out regular email blogs and that sort of stuff. So also if you I refer to this podcast, Tim, and things like that. I'd happily get on the phone with anyone struggling, no matter what time or day or night. I've got to transition to Northern Hemisphere time, so I'm happy to talk to any of your listeners if they're struggling with whatever aspect.
Yeah.
So, um, I, yeah, so just reach out. And my email is hello@pip.com.au.
Okay. And if you're watching on YouTube, you saw the website go across the screen. If you're listening, I'll put all this information as well as that current affair link in the description as well. Speaking of listeners, most of our listeners, Trent, it's interesting. I looked at it last week. I live in Minnesota, which I get pretty much zero listenership in Minnesota. Most of my listeners are out in Los Angeles area, California. And Australia second, where most of my listeners are from. Australia, Australian guest. And then the UK. So it's interesting where my podcast goes from. It's California for the US, then Australia, then UK. I don't know how that works, but that's
You're doing good work. Like I typed in bullying podcast just in Google to have a search, and you came up. You're straight at the top, and I subscribed and started to listen, and I thought, is this a guy I wanted to talk to? I'm like, yeah, you're a good interviewer. So
yeah,
it's
thanks.
it's been really fun being here. So
I've had help. If you listen to my first earlier podcast of this show, the first 15 episodes, Bruce Knoxon used to be the co-host. He was a guy that talked me into doing these podcasts. And if you watch the beginning, I was the one who barely spoke at all. And he did all the talking. He kind of held my hand to the first 15 episodes. Then when he said, okay, Tim, it's time for you to do it by yourself, I was like, oh no. Now it's gotten easier. But yeah, I owe a lot to Bruce, who used to be part of this podcast. He's the one that helped me out get started. So it was great having him on. So Trent, it was great talking to you. I look forward to, if you got any projects you want to collaborate on, let me know. You know my email. I'll send you my contact information. So we'll leave it here. Have a good day or I shouldn't say good day. Have a good,
I'm about to
I don't
go to
know,
bed, Tim.
early morning. Yes. It's gotta be almost 2 a.m. your time. So
Yeah, it is.
thanks for staying up late for me.
No problem at all. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good day.